Forbes portfolio strategy columnist, author of the New York Times bestsellers The 10 Roads to Riches and The Only 3 Questions That Count. Preface. The Fisher Investments On series is designed to provide individual investors, students, and aspiring investment professionals the tools necessary to understand and analyze investment opportunities, primarily for investing in global stocks. Within the framework of a top-down investment method, more on that in Chapter 7, each guide is an easily accessible primer to economic sectors, regions, or other components of the global stock market. While this guide is specifically on consumer discretionary, the basic investment methodology is applicable for analyzing any global sector, regardless of the current macroeconomic environment. Why a top-down method? Vast evidence shows high-level or macro investment decisions are ultimately more important portfolio performance drivers than individual stocks. In other words, before picking stocks, investors can benefit greatly by first deciding if stocks are the best investment relative to other assets, like bonds or cash, and then choosing categories of stocks most likely to perform best on a forward-looking basis. For example, a technology sector stock picker in 1998 and 1999 probably saw his picks soar as investors cheered the so-called new economy. However, from 2000 to 2002, he probably lost his shirt. Was he just smarter in 1998 and 1999? Did his analysis turn bad somehow? Unlikely. What mattered most was stocks in general, and especially U.S. technology stocks, did great in the late 1990s and poorly entering the new century. In other words, a top-down perspective on the broader economy was key to navigating markets. Stock picking just wasn't as important. Fisher Investments on Consumer Discretionary can help guide you in making top-down investment decisions specifically for the consumer discretionary sector. It shows how to determine better times to invest in consumer discretionary, what consumer discretionary industries and sub-industries are likelier to do best, and how individual stocks can benefit in various environments. The global consumer discretionary sector is complex, covering many sub-industries and countries with unique characteristics. Using our framework, you can be better equipped to identify their differences, spot opportunities, and avoid major pitfalls. This book takes a global approach to consumer discretionary investing. Most U.S. investors typically invest the majority of their assets in domestic securities. They forget America is less than half of the world stock market by weight. Over 50% of investment opportunities are outside our borders. However, because the U.S. is the world's biggest consumer market and is home to the largest share of consumer discretionary stocks in the world, this guide may feel more U.S.-centric than the others in the Fisher Investments On series. Still, consumer discretionary companies may have global operations, and consumer markets outside the U.S. are growing rapidly. Given the vast market landscape and diverse geographic operations, it's vital to have a global perspective when investing in the consumer discretionary sector. Using your consumer discretionary guide. This guide is designed in 3 parts. Part 1, Getting Started in Consumer Discretionary, discusses vital sector basics and consumer discretionary sector high-level drivers. Here, we'll discuss macro drivers, consumer spending, income, and employment, and explain how to capitalize on a wide array of macro conditions and industry-specific features to help you form an opinion on each of the industries within the sector. We'll also discuss additional drivers affecting the sector that ultimately drive consumer discretionary stock prices. Part 1 also includes a discussion on the history of the modern consumer discretionary sector. Topics discussed include early trade relations in the colonies and how the Industrial Revolution contributed to a dramatic increase in discretionary income.